With the recent news that Codemasters Timesplitters 2 is playable in the Homefront the Revolution game, people have been feeling a warm sense of nostalgia for the old but much loved series. For years, fans have wanted a new entry in the franchise, or at least a remaster. And even Steve Ellis, one of the co-creators of the series, wants to bring it back. We could be waiting a while before this happens, if at all, but at least for now, Homefront offers fans a, dare I say it, imperfect version of the game.
Kill yourself.
I will cover the Timesplitters series in the future so we can take a look at what makes them so great. But before I do, I thought we could look at one of Codemasters' other titles that didn't get as much love, and that title is Second Sight. Where Timesplitters dealt with the themes of time travel and alien-like creatures with a bit of humour mixed in, Second Sight focused on a gritty and dark storyline focused around the paranormal and psychic capabilities. You play as John Vatic, a patient who wakes up isolated in a medical facility, suffering from amnesia and capable of using psychic powers. Your goal is to find your way around the facility and piece together John's past in order to regain his memory. The game starts with a first-person cutscene of you being transferred into isolation. You're barely conscious as two guards shit-talk you. They notice you're awake and oh god! You look like a fish with birth deficiencies. Okay, so the graphics are good, but also terrifying. Characters have a lot of expression in both movements and facial expressions. It's obvious the game's style is the same you would see in Timesplitters. At the same time though, you do get some ugly looking characters, which I guess makes sense. We don't all look handsome plus 10. Other than that, the comic book style is as iconic as it was in Timesplitters, and some of its animations are recycled from it too. What I like about this style is there is a lot of personality and information portrayed through the characters, effectively adding to the presentation of the story. Not to mention the animations are very smooth and look natural. Well, not all of them. At first, I thought this game was a spin-off because of the style. Sadly though, it is not. Regardless, its use of both exaggerated and subtle facial expressions, combined with body language, complements the tone and atmosphere of the world and story. The use of the colour palette also helps portray a dark, bleak looking world that matches the plot's themes and mood. Speaking of the plot, let's look into it. You wake up strapped to a table, but you're able to free yourself using your powers. John then starts to talk to himself to provide exposition. He says he can't remember anything.
Why can't I remember anything?
But doesn't know how he escaped the traps.
I woke up. I noticed them. I imagined them undoing. Did I undo them with my fingers?
While he does, you can fiddle with the controls, which are both simple, yet complicated. The left stick makes you move, and contextual prompts will appear in the corner, letting you perform actions like crouching and stealth. Zzz. X makes you attack with melee, and pressing L followed by R uses your currently equipped psychic power. That's where the simple controls end. As we continue on, you will see how more complicated they get, and at times, fidgety. For now, let's look at the camera. There are three kinds of camera you can swap between: a fixed view, a third person, and a first person. You'll use all three as you navigate through the hospital, but switching between them can throw you off positioning a bit, and in first person view, you can't move, you can only lean. Yes, you can peek around corners with it, but the lean is so small you might as well just peek around the walls in third person instead. After you break out your room, you're encouraged to practice your new power by making a mess of the furniture. After you start levitating an object, you can move it with the right stick and throw it by letting go of R while moving the stick. Not everything can be picked up though, some items can only be manipulated. If you're just locking on, you can use the right stick to switch targets, which can be tricky if it skips over the target you want. Once you've done enough, John says it's time to move on, and you get your next power, which is healing. Using left and right on the D-pad will let you choose one of your powers. Healing will make John do a weird dance and restore your health for as long as you hold the button, even when you don't need it. In the corridor, you get your first taste of combat. You hear two guards talking, and if they spot you, they try and kill you. You can fight back with bare fists or by throwing bins in their faces.
No! Oh!
If you want to play pacifist though, you can try and scare them off with a magic show. However, I did it wrong, so I killed them with deadly dick kicks.
Oh! What the
hell is wrong with you?
However you deal with them, your main objective is to try and find the code for the lift to take you down. You do this by solving a simple puzzle, while John gives clues on what to do. You find a computer with a map on it. Clicking on the lift will give you the access code you need. One feature I do like is that you actually do need to use the computers yourself and interact with it like it's a real desktop, rather than pressing a prompt and be given the solution, making the game more interactive and makes you feel more involved. Bonus is, if you get frustrated or bored while searching on a computer, you can just slap a few scientists around to relieve stress. Entering the lift, John then begins to have a flashback. Rewind to 6 months ago, we see Dr. John Vatic meeting a guy named Colonel Stark, who, fun fact, is voiced by Tom Clark Hill, the voice of Sergeant Cortez and the match narrator from Future Perfect.
We're out of time, Dr. Vatic. Can you handle a sidearm?
Whoa! What the hell was that? Ghosts? Ghosts? But how did you see them? Ghost goggles.
John has been requested to advise a team of soldiers, but doesn't know what on. He asks why he's here, but instead gets ordered to take some training to learn how to fight. Get ready for a lengthy tutorial that you can skip, but if you do, you're going to struggle a little. And if you stay to the end of the video, I'll show you how to get a secret game over ending. One by one, you'll meet the squad you're suddenly a part of, and they'll teach you how to become the toughest, crazy-legged nerd ever. First up is Cortelli, the comms expert. He teaches you how to do some hardcore parkour. Just look at him go. Walking into short or tall walls makes John vault over them, and walking into ladders lets you climb them. In the next area is Tex, the team's douchebag. To reach him, you need to shimmy over the water. Pressing A when standing near a ledge will make you hang. Only when you're standing. If you're crouching, it won't work, so at times you might need to press 2 buttons to hang, which obviously is a pain. When you reach Tex, he teaches you how to take cover and the basics of stealth. Pressing Z while walking into a wall makes John hug the wall, and this is where you might start to have some issues with the game and notice how fidgety it can be. Regardless how low or tall the cover is, John will hug the wall in his current stance, so if he's standing, he hugs the wall standing. Imagine you're in a sudden gunfight and you take cover in a hurry and John does this. In almost any other game, your character would adapt to the size of the cover with a single button press. Having to again press a potential of 2 buttons to do a task that should only require 1 button is an irritating issue. And the fact there were other games around the time and made before this game that didn't have this issue makes it worse. Sometimes the controls can betray you for a mistake you don't even know you're making. Moving the stick left or right makes you shimmy along the wall you're stealthing against, and if you reach a corner, you peek around it. However, if you're looking left or right, and the angle of your stick is slightly off, you shimmy around the corner. And it can be the tiniest amount possible out of position, and you'll find yourself walking around corners when you were trying to peek around it. In fact, that's how I got spotted by the first 2 guards. So damn annoying. Text gets you to move around the block 1 time, then tells you to get to the back of the course and sneak past him to the tunnel at the far end. If it helps, you can change the camera view to close, but not first person. Switching to a close camera helps you look around corners better, and while you can peek around corners in a fixed camera perspective, there's no point because the camera doesn't adjust itself. Having to swap between cameras constantly while stealthing is annoying, because again, others did it better. Outwitting the dumb fuck that is Tex, you crawl through some tunnels and emerge in a bigger course that you need to sneak through, which you can do easily without ever having to hug the wall. This is the easiest stealth gets, and not because the game gets harder. You'll soon see why. Next up is JC.
Heavy weapons guy.
And he teaches you how to use a gun. So far, simple enough. Ammo and clip in the corner, down on the D-pad to reload while it's aiming, but the aiming. The aiming. The aiming. I cannot stress enough how much I can not stand this style of aiming. So when you press L, you either lock onto a target or hold out your gun. I'm fine with that. You can also move around while you're locked on. Again, I'm fine with that, even if sometimes it looks like a weird interpretive dance. But the fine-tuning of the aim is shit. Using the right stick moves the smaller dot on the target to show where your shots will go, but the second you let go of the stick, it resets back to the center, so you need to hold the stick in place to shoot where you want to hit. But guess what? Super sensitive stick reading means it's going to go all over the place, and the slightest overexertion means you're off fucking target, wasting ammo. You know what else? You have to move the stick left or right to switch target, so aiming at the target's arms sometimes makes you switch targets unwillingly. And you know what else? Other games did it better! While playing in the flashbacks, guns will be your main way of fighting, though the attraction sequence shows clips of John eventually being able to use his powers during the flashbacks. While the fine-tuning is a pain in the arse, it's not entirely necessary to use. Enemies die in 2 to 3 shots from a pistol, and those enemies will also be armed themselves, so ammo's not going to be an issue. You could very easily play through the game without ever needing to pull off a headshot to save ammo. If you do want to try aiming, you're best going into first person view and try and play it like Silent Scope. The guns also look nicer in first person. You can actually see Vatic reload the gun rather than awkwardly petting it in third person. After JC shows you the basics, he puts you to the test. You need to score 250 points or more before you can move on. Headshots give the most points, and it's easier to do with a quick flick up and shoot technique, but it's not a guarantee. In the next room, JC teaches you about using cover. It works the same way as stealths, only you need to hold the left stick in the direction you want to pop out, while pressing L to aim at a target. In the exercise, you need to hit each guard 3 times without being hit 3 times yourself. Fortunately for us, they majors in shooting at the Stormtrooper Academy. If this is how the enemy is everywhere, I think we're going to be okay. JC's final test involves you making your way through the stealth course again, only this time with a dart gun.
Okay, Vatic, make your way to the compound gate. This time, you'll need to shoot your way through. You don't have to run and gun though. Remember your stealth training. It might be better to choose your shots carefully and keep the situation under control.
So you're saying stealth is optional?
Ouch! Good shot.
If you give me infinite ammo, I'm gonna use it. After performing some violent acupuncture, you go to the final part of the tutorial. Jackson, the team sniper, takes you to the same gun range as before. This time, however, you will be using a sniper rifle. The sniper also suffers from the god-awful aim system, but with the sniper, it's less of a problem. A cool feature of the sniper mechanics is that the scope appears in the corner when you lock onto a target, meaning that you can switch from checking your surroundings to looking down your scope easily. The aim sensitivity is less severe, so aiming for the head is more precise, and the scope works in the first person too. Be warned though that the lock-on doesn't work in first person for any gun. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think the hitbox for the sniper rifle is also bigger than any other gun. Jackson wants you to do the same task as JC, score 250 points before the tutorial finally comes to an end, and you find out why you're here. The squad has been assigned to investigate one Dr. Grienko, a scientist researching psychic powers with the Russians. The Pentagon has ordered a squad, codenamed Winter Ice, to head to Siberia to investigate what Grienko has been researching for 50 years and why he wants political asylum. In short, the Americans are sticking their nose into other countries' business. Vatic asks how a risky mission could be allowed, but
That's classified.
Well, then how did you confirm psychic research?
Also classified.
so something shady. Yeah, sounds about right. Vatic was called in because the team's advisor recommended his expertise in this subject. The advisor, Jane Wilde, a woman who claims to be an actual psychic, has history with John Vatic. The two have a professional rivalry, Wilde being the biggest critic of Vatic's work. You get the impression that she sees this as a chance to prove to Vatic once and for all that all psychics are real, all with a condescending look on her face that you just really want to punch. We then return to current day Vatic. Emerging from the lift, John is cornered by a guard. Vatic has another headache and learns a new power. Now that we're in a more complex area, supposedly designed for stealth, you start to notice the flaws of the game more. The first task is to navigate your way through the foyer as the guards shoot it. You can fight back with the side blast, or you can make a run for it. These are Stormtrooper graduates after all. In the next area, the game gives you hints on ways you can distract the guards to sneak by them, but that is one of 2 reliable mechanics when it comes to stealth. Sneaking up on someone to knock them out is a risk because of the faulty programming. Remember when I said some of the actions can't be performed while crouching? Grabbing an enemy is one of those actions. You need to be stood up to grab an enemy from behind, but even when you're crouch walking, the only way to stay silent when moving is a risk. Sneaking up to someone could result in them detecting you if you get too close, even from behind, so getting spotted is very easy. On the plus side though, sound doesn't travel far, so this scientist I scared could only be heard in this room. While that's lucky, the point is I shouldn't have to press 2 buttons, one after the other, to perform an action I want done quickly, because, say it with me now, others did it better. Making your way through the level, you unlock another power and the second most reliable when it comes to stealth. Invisibility, or charm, as this game puts it. You can imagine how helpful this is, and you will rely on this a lot if you're going for the stealthy approach. The stealth approach has too many problems with it to be a viable option though. You can get caught so easily from the littlest thing, objects you accidentally kick, which make no noise yet alert the guards, characters being alerted to you for seemingly no reason, and swapping between 3 cameras to even attempt to be stealthy is never not irritating. Better to just walk everywhere invisible. If however you do prefer the loud and proud method, you can also do that too. Just be sure to turn the alarm off and hide when you're done. Whichever approach you take though, the music sets the atmosphere well. And loudly. The music shares a lot of the same vibes as Timesplitters does, a mixture of electronic music and vocal harmony. The main themes of the music tend to lean towards mysterious, tense and creepy, but all of which, very loud, tend to block out the sound effects and the speech of the game. When you're sneaking around, the music can vary between slow and unnerving, to quicker, more motivating tracks. And at times, no music at all. Then during fights, it picks up with more intense tunes and with what I can only describe as Bower Chicka. The sound effects are sometimes out of place. The guns sound powerful and the reload noises are convincing. And you can even recognise some of them from the Timesplitters series. While the punches sound kind of cartoonish. The voice acting is effective. None of the actors are bringing an award-winning performance, but the performances themselves are good. Line deliveries are convincing, the voices suit the characters, and they do have personality. The actor who plays Vatic, however, their performance can sometimes lack. When you're playing as past Vatic, the performance is fine.
Look, I'm glad to be of help, but one day's notice is barely enough time for me
We're
to get
out of time, Dr. Vatic. Can you handle a sidearm?
They said my role was strictly advisory.
Then advise yourself to get some weapons training. My squad doesn't nursemaid tourists.
I'm in a squad now?
But when you're playing as present Vatic, on the other hand, he has moments where his speech feels rushed or lacks inflection.
I think it's time for me to get out of here, whoever I am.
Other times, it's just flat out unconvincing.
What's happening?
I'm totally in pain, guys. Oh no, my brain. It do a... Second Sight is a decent game with frustrating flaws. The format of the levels becomes clear early in the game, You'll bounce between the two Vatics whenever current Vatic gets an itchy brain. Current day Vatic situations mainly focus on stealth and puzzle solving, while past Vatic focuses mainly on mystery and combat. While I do like the idea of needing to use different playstyles at different sections, the flaws of them both are irritating, and while they don't ruin the game, they certainly hurt the experience. That doesn't mean, however, there's no fun to be had here at all. With some time, you could adapt to the faults and genuinely enjoy the game, because I certainly do. It's a good attempt from the Timesplitters team to branch out into other genres of playstyle, and I would have loved to see where they would have gone if they kept trying. And unfortunately, that's never going to happen. Of course, there is more to the game than its gameplay. Its music is good, the story is intriguing, and a healthy amount of powers, weapons and situations to use said tools keep the game engaging. I would definitely recommend this one, especially if you are a fan of Timesplitters or just looking for something unusual to try. Before I end the video though, as promised, I'm going to show you how to get a secret game over ending. So thank you for watching this far if you did, or even if you just skipped this far. During the tutorial, play until JC wants you to do the stealth course with a gun. Turn around and head back up the stairs. Follow the corridor until you reach the locker room. Inside is a machine gun. Use this instead of the dart gun on the course and you'll be assaulted by everyone on the level. Fight your way through the level as far as you can. Should you make it to the end, you'll fight Colonel Stark, who can't be killed. Wherever it is you die though, the sequence plays. If you want to see the sequence though, why not try it for yourself? Or more likely you're just going to look on YouTube for it, but either way, you know how to do it now. So if you can, give this game a go. You won't be disappointed, and it is available on Steam, although I must mention, reviews of the PC version weren't as nice as the console version. And that was Second Sight. Thanks for watching everyone, remember you're always welcome at the Spectrum.